So PowerPoint, that's what we're going to be talking all about today. We're going to focus a lot on how we reshape and create powerful presentations. But before we start diving in, just a quick introduction. I'm Scott Shapiro. I'm the product marketer for PowerPoint. And I'm joined by Greg Jensen, Principal Program Manager over on the engineering side for PowerPoint. PowerPoint's been around for a while, right? You've probably been using it for about as long as you can remember in a professional sense. Maybe you even made a PowerPoint to convince someone in your family you wanted a dog. Or you had one of your kids did that to you, and by God, and it worked. And now you've got a dog and you love it, but you just didn't realize your kid was going to convince you with a PowerPoint that that's what you needed in your life. Let's do a show of hands to figure out a few things with PowerPoint. Who's using PowerPoint with Pro Plus today? Pretty good set. Who's got 2016 Perpetual? Okay. 2013. 2010. Okay. I'm going to hope no one's still using 07, but have you been using it maybe since 2000? People have used PowerPoint all the way since the year 2000? Just about all of us, right? We've been using this product for a long time. And what happens when you've been using something for a long time? You find the portion of it that you like. The features that make you feel like an expert to focus on the story you're telling instead of the presentation details, like how do I make this red, blue? How do I align these shapes? So when we come up here and we say, we have great new experiences, great new features, you say sometimes to yourselves, or your community of users say to themselves, that's fine, but I don't want to deal with it. So how do we think about bringing you on the journey in ways that feel familiar and ways that are exciting? Well, we innovate in spaces that are natural progressions, little steps along the way to make that easy thing that you want to do logical, so you don't feel like you're learning a whole new product. But we're not willing to just coddle ourselves. We also push the boundaries, and we have a whole new set of features that really bring it into ways that you didn't expect before, with a lot of AI-backed intelligence. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what we're going to learn today. We're going to talk a bit about Microsoft 365. We're IT folks here, or at least a lot of you are. I'm just playing one on TV right now. But then we're going to talk about how PowerPoint really fuels that notion. And then I'm going to get out of your way, and we're going to go into demos. If you are still here and excited on Friday of Ignite, you don't want me giving you a spiel, and I respect the heck out of that. So I'm going to have Greg instead join us, and he's going to do great hands-on walkthroughs of how to take advantage of some of those new innovations, as well as the spaces that are a little bit of comfortable steps forwards in places you're already familiar. And then with that handled, at the end, we're just going to come back and say, hey, if you're excited about all of this, how do you get it? And I'll do a quick overview of Pro Plus deployment for you. Sound good? Less of me talking, more demoing, right? Is that a clap or a food? I'm hoping it wasn't clapping about that. All right, so Microsoft 365. What does that mean? Well, it takes together Office 365, Windows 10, enterprise mobility, and security management. For years, Microsoft has been coming to each one of you and saying, hey, get the latest version of Office. That was on Monday. Now it's Wednesday. A new salesperson walks in and they say, are you on Windows 10 yet? All right. Now it's Thursday. What are you doing with your enterprise solutions? You know, that's good, and hopefully you pick each one each time, and you say it's the right thing for your business, but wouldn't you rather one person can step into your office, and more importantly, wouldn't you rather that you could handle the whole solution together? Really think about deploying at the same time, and not having to feel like, I'm working with one company, Microsoft, why are each of these products like a whole new world each time? Shockingly, it took us a while to realize that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? And we didn't figure it out ourselves. We heard that from all of you as feedback. Bring the best of what Microsoft has to offer together. And that's what we're doing with Microsoft 365. We're creating a full solution and a full platform to make your life easier and empowering your own department and your community of users. So let's just walk through this quickly. What does that mean? How do we unlock creativity in this modern era? Does creativity mean painting with a paintbrush? For some people, yes. For other people, it means creating great insights and figuring out what's happening with that data in Excel and creating a chart. For us today, it's going to be all about making great presentations and landing your story. Teamwork. We've seen in research that over the past 5 years, people say they are now on 2 times as many teams as there ever been before. So that means you need new ways to work together, accomplish your goals, and stay on the same page. Now let's talk about integration for simplicity. If we're bringing together 3 platforms, that sounds maybe like complexity, right? Doesn't sound like simplicity. But what we're actually doing is figuring out ways with your guidance, day by day, to bring together those deployment channels, to make sure the services we offer you, like Fast Track, are applicable to the whole platform. And again, not that notion of just one person coming to you to talk about each product or helping you with each product, but a community aspect that helps you to deploy what you need. And then finally, security. So many things are vulnerable in this era. We don't have a few pieces of paper locked in a filing cabinet. We have tons of digital files across millions of devices all around the world. And without security aspects of your platform, and AI built in to keep you ahead of the latest threats, you could feel secure, but you might actually be working with the best from 2010 and not even realize it. And that's what we're trying to bring together, is this whole platform of solutions with Microsoft 365. So let's drill into 2 key areas and how PowerPoint can help you on this journey. And Greg's going to demo a lot of this, so I'm going to go through the quick hits here pretty quickly so we can get to the hands-on part. But it's all about unlocking creativity. When you have a story to tell, sometimes it feels like you're focusing so much of that effort, not on what that content is, but how do I put it on a slide? And if I can't put together the right way to tell the story, the great work I did getting to a solution, getting to an answer, and trying to convince you of that journey can suddenly be ignored. And we thought that wasn't fair. Just because you don't have a graphic design degree does not mean you shouldn't be able to take someone with you on your journey towards deployment, your journey towards making a sale. So we've created a whole set of experiences that make this easier for you. With things like Designer, you can start with a simple white slide and just put in a few bullet points, and we'll create smart art for you. We'll create charts that show awesome progressions of step-by-step processes. And it'll even create timelines now. That's one of those little things where if you can make a visual representation of where we're going from today to the future as a company in a really easy to understand way, you've changed everything. It's so important to understand how to get your story out there. With just a few clicks, we're hoping to make that possible for you. Let's talk a bit about ink for a second here. We don't just type. We don't just put pictures into things anymore. We want to express ourselves. We draw, we write, we annotate. And you can do that all inside of PowerPoint. You can use a ruler now to have those perfect straight edges to create any type of angle that you need to, again, express that image. And then the last part in creativity I want to acknowledge for a moment, since, again, Greg's going to go over all this with real visuals, is all around accessibility. The last bucket here you see on the line is auto alt text and closed captions. At Microsoft, we bring accessibility to the forefront. We don't think about adding it on after the fact. We think about making sure that every single type of person in this room and around the world has the ability to work with these products in natural ways. And by bringing in things like auto alt text or closed captions and building it directly into the product, not afterwards, it allows us and you as the IT audience to empower your users without them even having to ask for it. By using your normal drivers of products like PowerPoint in the Office suite, if somebody has different types of disabilities or impairments, they don't have to worry about feeling left out or feeling like they have to come to you specifically for these needs. So you're going to empower an entire part of your workforce that you might not even known needed your assistance. Studies have shown that 1 in 5 people in the professional settings have some type of learning difference or visual impairment. But that's not a thing people are always comfortable admitting. It could feel singled out. So you can now empower them through different experiences like this without even having to worry about asking for things. And that's huge. It's powerful. So that's creativity. So as you build through these experiences on your own with creativity, you get your slides up and running, you're probably going to work with a teammate after that, right? You want someone to review that content. You want to make sure you're getting the information right. Or sometimes there's another expert on the team that needs to work on another portion of the project. Well, how do we do that? We co-author. We share this deck with them. We put it on the cloud. I don't send you a hard attachment, and then you send me one back, and somehow my job is to put together all of these little slides and figure out your errors. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting paid to find your errors. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what you want to do either. So instead, you work together in real time. And you can see where each individual is in the slide. You can see what they're creating. You can see the edits they've made, and be sure to go back to that slide quickly to work together. But what happens if you don't exactly like their input? That's okay. You want to revert back? Thought your idea was better earlier in the process? We have version history too. So you can always take a step back and figure out where you were earlier in that week, which is great. And then the final area in teamwork I want to touch on here as well are notifications and @mentions. As great as it is that we can work together, well, what happens if I don't realize you updated the slide? Or you don't realize I've already asked you for some specific help or some feedback in the comment section? It's going to be slowed down. It's going to be a blocker if you reach out to a teammate with that expertise and they don't answer your question. But with @mentions, which are rolling out soon, you can actually just tag a person in the process, and you can say to that teammate, hey, Jen, I really need you to update slide number 3. You're the expert in this space. And maybe they're on the go, they have their phone out there, they get a quick notification, and just like that, they can realize with PowerPoint on their phone, or they go back to their laptop when they're back at the workforce, and they can unlock you, saving you tons of time. And to make sure all of these changes are handled correctly, and you've always got access to what's been updated, we save everything automatically now. There's no accidentally closing your laptop, losing a Wi-Fi connection, and then all your changes are gone. There's no PowerPoint getting finicky, and you're like, oh no, I didn't do this. There's no dog ate your homework anymore. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on where you're at right now, we auto-save everything. So that's how PowerPoint's a part of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, all around creativity and teamwork, really bringing you into that modern era. So that's pretty cool. That's what I'm really excited about. And that's enough of my overview here. Let's see what that looks like and bring up Greg to do a demo.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. As Scott said, I'm Greg Jensen. I'm with the engineering team for PowerPoint. We're down in sunny Mountain View, California. We have the whole PowerPoint team down there. And one of the things that I love about working on PowerPoint is that a lot of us use it every day, and a lot of us have used it for a very long time. Scott asked a question about that earlier, but he forgot to ask one question. How many of you have used this version of PowerPoint? Is it true? Yes. We have a few real PowerPoint founders in the room. Yet we just a couple weeks ago celebrated literally the 30th anniversary of PowerPoint on the team down in Mountain View. So it's a pretty exciting product for us to work on. How many of you saw a PowerPoint presentation on any topic this week while you were in Orlando? Yeah, I thought so, right? How many of you saw something in the presentation, in the deck itself, that you thought was pretty cool? Wow, I wish I could make slides like that, right? Did any of you see any demos about the new features in PowerPoint this week in one of the general sessions or in one of the other breakouts? Or come to the booth, maybe see more for designer? Some of you did. So my goal for today is to convince you that you can do cool slides like that also, and that you can turn some of the slides that you have today that are, no offense, when you see what I'm about to do, a little bit boring, and you can just spruce them up a little bit with one click. So, for example, Scott talked about this topic, and I'm sure most of you were tuned out waiting for the demos, right? But one of the things that might have been lost on you is that when Scott transitioned to the next slide, he was doing a deep dive into Microsoft 365. And when he transitioned to the next slide, he was doing a deep dive into and PowerPoint. Now, that's because when Scott built these slides, he forgot to go over to a morph setting. It's true. I'm sorry, Scott. Called words. So we're going to spend a few minutes this morning on PowerPoint Morph. If you got here early, there was an animated sequence with a whole bunch of just random stories going by on this screen. All of that, believe it or not, was built by people in our office using PowerPoint Morph, either for a presentation they actually had to build at work or just for fun. None of it has crazy animations with before and after and timings and all those sorts of things that you forget how to do. They're literally just a series of slides like a stop action claymation sequence, and Morph takes care of all the magic for you. So let me show you a little bit about how Morph works. I just want to warn you up front, this is a 100-level session. So I'm not going to go super fast. I'm not going to talk to you a lot about roadmap or show things that you think you would never be able to build yourself. If you have your laptop and you want to crack open PowerPoint and try some of this, you do need to be on Pro Plus, on the Office 365 version, to get the latest features. If you don't have that at work, you should have it at home. It's cheaper than Netflix. So with that, I know Scott's the marketing guy, but I couldn't resist. So here's an example of one of my favorite tricks about Morph, and that is keeping content off screen and letting Morph bring it on screen for you. So here I just have a slide with some few basic shapes. And if I duplicate this slide, and on the second copy, I grab this square and I bring it on screen. And then I move the text box down. Now, when I apply the Morph transition, you'll see that Morph is going to automatically bring the text box down and bring the white box on screen for me. Another little known trick with Morph is to use rotation. So if I duplicate the same slide again, and I move my shape to the other side, and then I rotate it. Now, when I apply Morph, it's going to move the shape across and rotate it as it's moving. And in fact, I can do that with multiple shapes. Feel free to clap if you want. You got to stay awake somehow. I can do that with multiple shapes. And in this case, this shape is just going to be brought in from off screen. But of course, I can also put a copy of this shape on the previous slide, and Morph will switch the locations of the shapes for me. I have an extra slide in here that I don't need. Hang on a second. So now let's round this up and see. Let's not do that. Very simple, just moving shapes around and applying Morph. And I have some basic animations in place. Did everyone follow that? Any questions about when to apply Morph, when not to apply Morph? Feel free to ask questions as we go. I said I want to make this as simple as possible. So here is an amazing sequence. You saw it before if you came into the room early. And with this sequence, you can see this is just 2 slides. And the only point of these 2 slides is to communicate the change in revenue. And Morph, we're going to start where we left off. Morph takes this slide and handles all of the transitions into the next slide for me. Did you see that effect? We added a spinner. We have a sales projection that comes in calling out where the fiscal year is, and we focus on the January output result of 21%. All of that is done just by having these 2 slides, slide 1 and slide 2, and applying Morph. That's Morph with shapes. Morph also does text as well. So I have, again, hidden off of this slide, I have some text that I thought describes a little bit about where we chose to have Ignite this year, beautiful Orlando, Florida. So it is a little bit hot and sunny here. I lived in Tampa for 6 years, so it's okay for me to say this. And as you might expect, if I move these words onto the slide and apply the morph transition, morph is going to bring them into the slide for me. If I then make another duplicate of the slide and I get rid of those 3 words and I bring in a little bit more detail, what do I mean when I say hot, sunny, and humid? And I apply the morph transition. And I turn on the word option. Did you see it work? Because I didn't see it work. No. I must have missed a step. We're going to see if this one will work for me. It was working great earlier. There's also a characters option if you want to see interpolation between characters. So now let's fire off this sequence with morph. The words animate onto the slide for me. Morph does that automatically. This transition didn't work. I'll have to debug that later. And that's because we're not using morph, we're using fade. Nobody caught that. I could use some expert help from the audience here. All right. So I'll debug those transitions later in the interest of time, and we will move on to PowerPoint Designer. How many of you have seen Designer at work this week? Designer is super cool because what usually happens when you insert a picture, we did get into airplane mode earlier, didn't we? You guys missed that on me also. All right. Get back connected to the demo Wi-Fi here. What usually happens to me when I insert a picture in a slide deck is it doesn't fit, right? It lands on top of all my existing content. And so I'm just going to jump out to Bing with the new Insert Online Pictures experience. For those of you that haven't seen this yet, go check out your current copy of Pro Plus, and you'll see that we've added a bunch of great licensed online picture sources, and all of these images are super high quality and look great in your decks, especially if you let Designer help you with them. So here is a panoramic beach shot from Bing, and of course when I insert that into this slide, it doesn't fit on the slide. But Designer is going to give me a set of options here on the right. And notice it says alt text, a sandy beach next to a body of water. This is another new feature we've added to all of the Office apps. Today, whenever you insert a picture, whether it's from your hard drive or from online, our AI service is going to automatically recognize that picture and add a text description which is read by screen readers used by people that are visually impaired. So we're helping you automatically create documents that are more accessible to everyone that you work with and interact with. So I'm going to select this slide created for me by Designer. And that is, honestly, I'm not a designer, really. I'm a programmer, and so I don't think I could even create this slide if I tried to. And Designer was able to do it for me in a cinch. So of course, Designer is going to do that with as many pictures as you want to throw at it. Here's an example of 4 pictures from Hawaii, one of my favorite places on Earth. And again, Designer has come up with a whole bunch of great design suggestions for how I can lay out these 4 pictures into a much more beautiful slide. But this is just the first baby step with Designer. We see Designer completely reinventing the way that you work within PowerPoint because we're learning to recognize the information that you're putting on your slide and help you display it in a more effective way. This next slide contains a set of steps to producing better content. Designer sends this up to our AI service in the cloud, and recognizes that that is the type of content and gives me a set of suggested layouts that include steps in SmartArt. Designer now has also been trained to recognize timelines. So here is a timeline slide, a set of dates, and Designer has recognized that this is a set of sequential dates, and it's given me a bunch of cool layouts for how I could display this graphically in a way that's much more compelling. And I didn't have to do any work. Has anyone here ever built a slide like this in less than an hour? Let's be honest. Now we can do it with one touch. So you should keep an eye on Designer. We are continuing to teach Designer new tricks literally every week. A lot of them our AI is learning as we go, and once they're figured out, we just turn them on, and you don't even have to have an update to your client bits for them to start working. The next one I'm going to show you is Zoom. The first thing I'm going to show you is what a well-done Zoom looks like when you're finished. So PowerPoint Zoom is a different way to think about how you move through the content in your slides with a little more visual effect. This Zoom is going to teach me about how recycling works. And it begins with a zoom into this section. Recycling starts at home. And a fly-in of off-screen animation. As you're learning by now, that, of course, was done by Morph, helping zoom out. And then I zoom over to what happens at the recycling plant, what happens where the recycled products are used to make new products from recycled materials, and then finally what happens when those products come back to me. All of this done in the context of one master zoom. Now, how many of you think that you could go build something like that in less than half an hour? With Zoom, you can. Each of these zooms is simply the slide that contains that information, drag and dropped into place on the final Zoom slide. And then each of those has off-screen information that Morph brings into the picture when that slide is displayed. That's all you have to do to use PowerPoint Zoom. You can also use Zoom to navigate the flow through an entire deck in any order that you choose. So here is a deck that many of you may have seen we've been showing all week in various demos, and we had out at the expo hall. Instead of having the second slide be an agenda slide, point 1, planning, point 2, we've all built these, right? This is an agenda slide that not only is graphical, but each of these graphics is the first slide of a topic. And when you click on one of these topics, let's say you wanted to learn about materials before you cover the rest of the content. We will, okay, I've tapped human factors apparently. We will go through the human factors section, which is built with a lot of Morph transitions, helping me explain the difference between 2-chair, 4-chair, 6-chair, and 8-chair layouts and different size tables and the human factors involved in those. And then I come back to the beginning, and now I can jump to another topic, for example, lighting. This slide was automatically built for me by simply selecting Insert, Zoom, Summary Zoom. Summary Zoom shows me all of the slides that are in my deck, lets me choose which slides I want to have as the beginning of each topic, and then automatically creates the Summary Zoom slide for me. I can easily add other navigation paths throughout my deck if I want to. For example, let's say I know that some of my customers don't have any 2-chair spaces in their office. And for them, I'm going to want to jump right down to the 4-chair slide. I can simply grab the 4-chair slide with my mouse, drop it onto the human factors slide, and PowerPoint creates a Zoom link for me. This is a direct link to the slide that's further down in that section. So now, if I'm jump to the human factor section of my presentation, and I want to skip directly to the 4-chair diagrams, I click on the 4-chair Zoom, and I'm directly into that section and can continue. And each of these Zoom-linked slides that you see are actually a live tile linked to that slide in the deck. So if you go change those slides in your deck, they're automatically updated in all of the Zoom links. Start thinking about what you can do with this as you lay out the organizational structure of your deck. And one of the great things to use this for is having a deck that communicates a lot more content than you might be able to do in any given meeting, but lets you come in prepared for all the different questions that you might need to answer, and then only go there if you need to, and time permits. Speaking of time permitting, we are going to hit a couple more highlights and then open it up for Q&A. So we've covered Zoom, Designer, and Morph. I wanted to show you the new support for closed captions that we've built into PowerPoint. If you have ever inserted videos with captions into PowerPoint, you've noticed in the past that when you go to play them in front of your audience, the closed captions don't work. We've added that capability to PowerPoint now. So if you have a video and the video is captioned, just drop it into PowerPoint and you will have all of the controls just like your home DVD player has for playing the captions that are in that video. If you have videos that aren't captioned, we support a file caption format called WebVTT, and I'm going to show you real quickly how that works. I'm going to insert a video from my PC, from our DevOps folks, and after I've inserted that video, I am also I click on the playback tab, and you can see that we've added insert captions. I'm going to insert caption files from the same folder where I have the video. And let me show you one of these real quick. This is just a simple file in Notepad that has timestamps and text. There are online sites that let you create one of these super simply. If you have videos that are being created for you in-house or by a third party, they're probably creating these captions or can create these captions along the way. So I'm going to insert a caption file for English. I'm going to insert a caption file for French. And I'm going to insert a caption file for Japanese. And now, make this video full size for you. Now when I play this video, we don't have the audio track, and of course that is the point. You will see that we have on-screen subtitle support, and I can show you subtitles in English, Japanese, or I could show you French, except for I clicked on the wrong subtitle package in one of my packages, in one of my steps there. So we now fully support closed captioning in videos and PowerPoint. And as you could see, it's super easy to do. A couple clicks and you're all set up and running. "3D in PowerPoint." This will be my last one. For those of you that haven't seen 3D in Office, we now support inserting 3D objects that you might have yourself already. If you're in a business that deals with 3D objects and 3D images, you can import all of those into any Office app now. We also have a library of freely available online 3D images covering a lot of different topics. One of my favorite, of course, is space. We're here in Orlando, so we'll give a shout out to the Space Shuttle program. And because 3D is now fully supported in Office as a first-class object, you can do things like rotate using grab handles. You can resize. And in fact, you can use any of the other features in Office, like morph, which we saw before. I can rotate this space shuttle, expand it even a little bit larger, apply the morph transition, and you will see that morph is able to fly the space shuttle in 3 dimensions for you with one click. So those are just a few of the new features in PowerPoint. I want to encourage you, if you have feedback, see the little yellow smiley face in the upper right-hand corner? Little known fact, it also has a sad face. If you have problems, if you run into a scenario that's broken or blocked, if you have a suggestion that you would like to send us, please click on the yellow smiley face, send it to us. If you're a member of the Office Insiders program, you can sign up for that for free at office.com. We'll send you updates every week. And if you're in the Office Insiders program and you send us a frown or a suggestion, our engineers actually look at that every morning. So that is getting to us. We encourage you to send us your feedback, your comments, your suggestions. Also encourage you to learn more about PowerPoint and the other Office apps. If you go to support.office.com and just type in what's new PowerPoint or what's new Word, Outlook, Excel, we have full list with tutorials of every new feature we've shipped to Pro Plus customers in the last 2 years, and it's dozens and dozens and dozens for every app. You'll be amazed what you find in there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott with the wrap up.
Thanks. Great demo. All right, that was pretty exciting, right? A lot of claps, a lot of interest there. I'm going to go through this super quick. I want to make sure there's questions for Greg about the demos, for how-tos, and just general PowerPoint stuff. But hopefully you're pretty excited about that stuff. It looks pretty interesting for you as a user and for your broader company. So it's all about the first bucket here of exciting end-user innovation. 2020 should be a year that has meaning to you as the IT folks. In a world of Microsoft, that's the only time we can say 2020 is right around the corner when you have a big decision to make. And that's all around what version of Office are you going to deploy. Windows 7 will be going out of support by 2020. And in addition, you will have to be on an Office vNext type product in order to use our broader services at that point. So we're hoping that a lot of this stuff you've seen here with PowerPoint and throughout the rest of the conference is making you feel like it's a bit of a no-brainer. Pro Plus is where I want to go next as well. Second, security. We talked a lot about that at the start of the session here. Really just making sure that your company is taken care of. You're not a part of the Equifax breach, things of that nature. We want to make sure AI is helping you out and always giving you the latest, greatest updates with Pro Plus. And then finally, just proactive management, making your lives easier, fixing things around app compatibility, making it simpler to just deploy multiple things at the same time, the Office 365 package, Windows 10, et cetera. So we're really hoping that throughout this whole conference, it's become a bit of a no-brainer, fingers crossed, for you and your organization, that Pro Plus is the right move for you and your company. So I promise I'll be short. That's all I have to say. And we can hand it over to some Q&A and anything around PowerPoint and Office.
Yes?
Hi. With Designer and more, how well do they work with corporate templates?
That's a great question. The question was, how well do Designer and Morph work with corporate templates? Morph and Zoom work great with corporate templates. Designer may not be trained for your corporate templates yet. One of the things that we are looking into with Designer is a way to give you more control over not just the compatibility with corporate templates, but actually Designer being able to only suggest designs that comply with your branding and corporate template. So I'd love to hear more from you, talk to you afterwards if that's a scenario that you're specifically interested in. Yeah?
With your Morph and Zoom, have you think about the printing portion of it? Is that change, or would it print all the slides like the same one?
Right. So for Morph and for Zoom, with Zoom, you still have a fixed structure to the deck, and you can create slides that are very printable with no change. With Morph, if you're using animations and you have content that's off slide, then I suggest that you maintain a printable copy and a digital animated copy. Yeah.
I checked it very recently, but not so long ago, Zoom was fine for current branch, but hadn't been released for preferred branch for business, even though it was due to be released as a spin-out for current branch for a long time.
Right.
I don't know if it is now, but
It should be there now. Yep, Zoom has been out long enough that it should be in all the releases of Pro Plus. I think we have a 6-month window, and it has to be in the monthly branch for a certain number of months before we'll put it in the next branch. And we just missed it with Zoom by a few weeks, yeah. Yes, sir. I'll come over here where I can hear you.
I just wanted to know if this is available on any platform or it's just on Windows.
Great question. So the question is, what platform can you use all of these new features on? Most of the new features that we're delivering are available on any of the platform that you're going to use. For example, you can even enable the Morph transition on your mobile phone if you're signed in with the Office 365 account. I mean, it's simple, it's one tap. Why wouldn't you be able to do that on your phone? Spruce up your presentation a little bit. All of the features, if you build a deck with them, they will work anywhere. Office.com, PowerPoint, Mac, Windows, on your mobile phone. There's a couple of the features, the higher end ones, that are only available right now on Windows desktop for creating summary zoom is the one that applies to. But you'll see Designer. You can use it on your tablets. You can use it on your at office.com. So our roadmap for these features is to have them available on all of our endpoints over time. Yeah.
Will these new features be supported by previous versions of PowerPoint? Let's say I've created an amazing Morph FX and Pro Plus 2016. Then I grab my flash speaker and I'm going to another place.
Yeah, and they have 2013. It's not going to play. It'll default, Morph will default to a fade transition, for example, on older versions of PowerPoint. Yes?
I didn't notice, is Office Mix in this new version?
There is, we've introduced a lot of the Office Mix capabilities in the recording tab.
Can you edit, though? Because is it improved?
Is it improved over what was
2013.
available in 2013? We're at about the same place that we were, but it's built into PowerPoint now.
Okay.
It's a little bit hard to find because it's disabled in the ribbon. So if you go check in your current build of 2016 and you customize the ribbon and turn on the recording tab, the Office Mix features are now built right into PowerPoint 2016.
Thanks.
Yep. Yes, sir.
From a licensing perspective, what license, E3, E5, or another license?
They're all available with E3 with Pro Plus. That's correct. Yep. At the microphone.
Yeah, on the mention feature, you mentioned that this is coming soon, and this is coming only for PowerPoint or as well for the other Office applications?
Sorry, which feature?
The mention? At mention?
At Mentions. At Mentions is coming for all of the Office suite.
And when?
It's rolling out over the next few months. It's different for different apps and different endpoints.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
More questions? Yes, sir.
If I produce this presentation in Pro Plus, and I want to email it to a client. What do they need in order to view it?
They can view it with whatever version of PowerPoint they have. Some of the features might not work the same way for them that they work for you, depending on the version they have. So for example, if they have 2013 and you've used morph transitions and they're going through the deck and slideshow, they're not going to see the morph transition, they're going to see a fade, which is the backwards compatibility for that. Obviously, if you're using Designer to lay out your slides, they're going to see all of it. Designer is helping you lay out your slides.
And if they do not have PowerPoint, is there a viewer that they need to install?
They can use office.com,
Okay.
or they can use OneDrive.com.
Okay.
Put it on their personal OneDrive account and just view it on OneDrive.com for free. All right, if you have more questions, please come on up. We're going to hang around. Happy to answer those for a few more minutes.
You'll also be able to get all the slides that Greg walked you through on the Ignite website. So all those kind of step-by-steps you can go play with on your own as well with the template. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Great.